creepy, and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
This whole Trump situation just got even more insane. You see, it was initially reported that the local police knew about the threat just minutes before the attack. But now sources say that law enforcement spotted Thomas Crooks on a roof 26 minutes before he opened fire at Trump. Authorities also took pictures of him on two separate occasions because they thought he looked suspicious. But it should be noted that on both occasions he didn't have a gun, so he was categorized as suspicious but not a threat. They say that Thomas got down off of the roof and they momentarily lost sight of him. But when he returned, however, he had a rifle. Police were alerted by the public, and one officer even tried to climb onto the roof, but as soon as he peered his head over, Thomas turned around, pointed the gun at him, and he jumped down. We're also now finding out that there was even a local police counter-sniper team stationed inside the building where Thomas was on the roof. He was literally climbing on top of them. And although snipers on the other roof had a clear view of Thomas, they didn't take the shot until after he opened fire. Why, you may ask? Well, we don't know. No one in the public really does yet. And even if it was something like they weren't able to confirm that he was a reasonable enough danger to take lethal action, it doesn't really explain why they wouldn't have taken far less drastic measures like just taking Trump off stage. Thomas was able to get so close to Trump that he was the same distance the US Army recruits must hit a human-sized silhouette to qualify in basic training. And the questions don't stop there. Despite the FBI in the last 48 hours breaking into Thomas's phone, searching his computer, scouring his search history and bedroom, and interviewing over 100 people, including his friends and family, they still haven't found any evidence to suggest a concrete motive. The information they do have is either contradictory or just plain confusing. He was a registered Republican but donated to the Democrats. People who knew him say he was relentlessly bullied. He passed a background check at his work and raised no concerns. And people at school described him as a little bit of a loner but nothing out of the ordinary. He was always nice and he was well liked by his teachers. And on top of that, the FBI haven't found any indication of him researching how to make homemade explosives, so it's currently unclear as to how Thomas assembled the explosive devices found in his car. A massive investigation is currently underway into so many of these questions, so of course when this starts to make any sense, I'll keep you guys updated.
Someone said he appeared in a commercial for BlackRock before, but I'm not sure. Put all the bias aside, let me hear your thoughts in the comment and make it make sense, please.
I was today years old when I found out that wolves and ravens are actually pretty codependent. So the ravens will alert the wolves that there's big games in the area so they can go hunt and feed off the scraps when they're done. They also like to tease each other like what just happened. Another fun fact is when the ravens had too much to drink on the weekend, the wolf will pick his butt up and carry him home. They love each other.
They are not friends. That wolf would definitely tear the raven up if it could. There were studies done in Yellowstone about it.
Does this gargoyle look familiar to you? In August of 2013, a picture taken at Paisley Abbey caused something of a stir on social media. It seemed someone visiting the abbey, which dates from the 12th century, paying particularly close attention to its finely carved gargoyles, had noticed one which stood out from the rest. With a distinct domed head and jagged teeth, it bore a striking resemblance to the iconic xenomorph from the hit Alien franchise. As many people will know, the design of the alien, which has tormented Sigourney Weaver and many others across 8 films since 1979, with a 9th due out soon, is credited to Swiss artist H.R. Giger. So what was his creation doing leering from the wall of an 800-year-old abbey in Scotland? Had an uncredited stonemason all those centuries ago anticipated his design? Had he, in fact, ripped it off? No, is the short answer. Journalists who spoke to the local minister learned that the building's original gargoyles had been replaced during a refurbishment in the 1990s. Sculptor David Lindsay was hired to supply 12 new gargoyles. Medieval tradition dictates that no two can look the same, and he was specifically asked for contemporary designs. And it just so happened he was a huge fan of Alien. Well, who wouldn't be? So among the 20 or so sketches he submitted for consideration, he included one paying homage to his favourite movie monster, never expecting it to be approved. But approved it was. and soon it had been sculpted and was perched above the abbey's arched windows, blending in quite nicely among the Gothic spires and steeples, failing to draw any attention until the advent of social media. Today, the gargoyle has become something of a minor tourist attraction, drawing a whole new crowd to Paisley to see the alien with their own eyes.
I believe there is also a Darth Vader gargoyle somewhere. Top-notch content, man. Love it when someone explains the whole story and doesn't deceive to try and get views. And I remember watching Gargoyles cartoon every Sunday when I was a kid.
This Maine Coon costs over $250,000 and was
What?
voted the most beautiful cat of the year 2023. It was auctioned to estimate its value. This
No
was the
way.
result of a long breeding process to achieve its blue eyes, specific age, and distinctive ear characteristics. The owners decided they wouldn't sell it for less than $500,000, but the bid still reached over $250,000. This cat is the product of successive breedings of several Maine Coons over multiple generations, until they achieved the perfect cat aesthetically, according to cat and dog show judges. The unique features of this cat were carefully selected at each generation to meet the highest standards of feline competitions. Its captivating blue eyes, luxurious coat, and perfectly shaped ears make it an exceptional specimen. The owners invested a lot of time and resources into this rigorous selection process. A true beauty, this Maine Coon embodies feline elegance and perfection. Its price reflects not only its remarkable appearance, but also the meticulous work of its breeders. Faced with such a marvel, the question arises, would you have spent $250,000 on this cat?
Nope. A cat that never moves seems legit. It's a stuffed animal, folks. What do you think?
A man found 4 abandoned bank ATMs in an empty warehouse. These machines often have leftover cash inside. Since he didn't have the keys or codes, he first forcefully dismantled the front panel to access the cash box. The man started by using a crowbar to open the lid. The first thing he saw was a safe lock requiring a code. He used a tool along the gap to open the lid. After half an hour of hard work, he finally got the safe open, but the cash box was empty. Fortunately, there were still 3 more machines to try. While opening the front cover of the second safe, he noticed a series of numbers next to the lock. He tried several combinations, but none worked. The man then used the crowbar again, striking along the gap until he successfully opened the ATM. Inside, he found a white box. From its weight, he knew it contained cash. He used a small hammer to open the lid, and when he saw what was inside, he was thrilled. He pulled out a thick wad of cash. How much do you think it was? After checking, he found it was $6,000, leaving him excited for the remaining 2 ATMs.
So it's like gambling. I think most of the time they don't have cash in them. What do you think?
This back into sports mode. Let's do this. This is so cool. I love this gear lever coming up. Everything moves towards you. It's driver focused now. All right, let's do this.
Howdy.
How's it look? Feels great in here. This is the Sky Sphere from Audi.
Okay, imagine telling the other guy you're racing, hold up, give me 5 minutes.
They figured out with almond milk was, oh, we can take leftover parts of almonds, the ones that are broken and unsightly, and we can use those to make milk. And it's just a few almonds and some canola oil and some high fructose corn syrup, some flavorings, and we blend it up and we sell it for like $8 as a health food product. It's not a health food product. So almond milk is high in phytic acid that sucks minerals out of your bones, so you have to take more minerals. And it's also high in oxalates, which are the things that are causing kidney stones and things that are causing gout and joint pain when you wake up. Even if you have really bad skin and you're eating a ton of these high oxalate foods like almond milk and kale smoothies, this can be why, because it's making tiny razor sharp calcium oxalate crystals in your skin that are coming out. So I don't recommend almond milk. Also, if you're a vegan for animals, about 1/3 of all bees die pollinating almonds every year. It is not a particularly clean product.
Almond milk has been around for centuries. These people who always have something negative to say are the best. They're always selling something better.
Did you know that dates basically have no impact on your blood sugar levels despite being absolutely crammed with sugar? It is the most fascinating thing ever. They're delicious, don't mess up your blood sugar, and will make you feel very full.
This is actually facts, Time School. Dates don't seem to negatively impact blood sugar levels even if you're type 2 diabetic. This randomized control trial took 79 patients with type 2 diabetes and allocated them 60 grams of date or raisins every day for 12 weeks. They found that dates had no significant impact on their HbA1c, fasting glucose, insulin resistance, beta cell function, or any cardiovascular marker, concluding that despite being very high in sugar, dates had no deleterious effects on glycemic control in diabetics. And there's more. This meta-analysis of 10 studies suggests that dates might even lower your fasting and postprandial plasma glucose levels. And this control study on 100 diabetics found that giving patients 3 dates a day for 16 weeks actually lowered their total and LDL cholesterol, possibly because of the high polyphenol content, whilst not causing any issues with their blood glucose levels. So why is this? Well, dates are packed with fiber. Just 100 grams contains around 7 grams of fiber. They also contain vitamins and minerals like potassium, vitamin B6 and magnesium, as well as antioxidants that not only make it safe for diabetics, but could even improve their cardiovascular health by improving their blood lipids. So if you have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes and are wanting a sweet snack, having a couple of dates might be the healthy sweet treat you've been looking for. Class dismissed.
Dates will absolutely blow up your blood sugar. I know. Don't listen to this.
Tell me a story about a time that you know that you saw something, but you don't ever tell this story because you know that no one would ever believe you. I don't think I've ever told this story before because I would sound like an insane person, but I know it happened. I want to be creeped out. I just watched the video of the girl, the Lyft driver in New Orleans, who says she picked up a vampire. I want more stories like that, but I'll tell you mine. When I was 7, my family was living in a suburb of Chicago, about 30 minutes southwest of the city. My parents were out. They went bowling every Friday night. So I know it was a Friday. Our babysitter, Maria, was over. She was a teenager, probably 16, 17 at the time, and my little sister was about 2. We lived in a split level. So my sister and Maria are downstairs and I'm in the kitchen. I was looking out the back window, honestly, probably waiting for our little neighbor boy to come outside because I had a crush on him and I was always running outside whenever I saw he would come out. But in our backyard, there was an apple tree, there was a lake, and then there was a fence separating our yard from the neighbor boy's house. It's dusk. The sun is pretty much set. And I see a black panther jump over the fence and come down, stand underneath the apple tree. It was so tall that its shoulders almost came up to the first set of branches. Jet black fur. And we had a house cat, so I know what the house cat size is in relation to this thing. This thing was easily 6 or 7 times the size of our cat. So I start calling for Maria, yelling at her to come up to the kitchen to see this black panther in our backyard. She was taking her time. My sister was crying and she was tending to her. I'm standing there mesmerized by this black panther, and it turns and it looks at me and it makes eye contact. And on its head, this thing was jet black, but on its head, it had a little patch of white fur just going right like this. And we just stare at each other for a good 5 seconds or so. I hear Maria stirring. She's coming into the kitchen. And as she's walking into the kitchen, the panther runs into the lake. I was like, there was a panther in our backyard. Maria's like, it was just a house cat. I'm like, no, it was a panther. Fast forward to later on that night. My parents still aren't home. I'm in bed. I hear our doorbell. It's probably close to 11 o'clock because my parents were still out. They usually came home around 1 in the morning. So naturally I hear the doorbell ring. I get out of bed. I go to the top of the stairs and I see Maria answering the door. And I'm creeping on the stairs and she lets this man in and he's wearing all black. He was very pale. And I hear him tell her basically that he was a traveler who lost his way and he needed to use our phone. It was the 90s, so people didn't have cell phones easily accessible, so he just wanted to use our landline. So Maria lets him in. He's using the phone. It's very muffled. I can't hear what he's saying. I remember the conversation, but I don't. That's where mine and this girl's stories are similar. So after he makes his phone call, he's turning to leave. He walks past the stairs. He looks up at me because I'm still sitting at the top of it, and I see on his head he has a little patch of white hair in the same spot that the panther had. And he looks at Maria and he goes, "Thank you for your help. It's really easy to get lost in the shadows." And he leaves. Now this man shook me. I could not sleep that night. So when my parents got home, I was still awake in bed. I ran downstairs. I told them all about the panther. They chalked it up to an overactive imagination. And they were like, it was just a house cat. You're just letting your imagination get the best of you. And I told them about the man. They were pissed. They were fuming. They fired Maria for letting a strange man into our house, as they should have. But yeah, I don't know. I've looked into it. There have been tons of Black Panther sightings all over Illinois, close to Chicago. And yet the Department of Natural Resources maintains that there are no Black Panthers in Illinois. So yeah, stitch this or let me know in the comments your story because I know I'm not the only one.
Is the real Black Panther? And what's a Nahual? Is there another name for it? Anybody knows? Drop a comment, please.
Pay very close attention to this hat here. in this agent's right hand. Look at the hat, and I want you to look at the back of the hat. Do you see any blood on there? Okay, now watch this. Moments later, take a look at the hat. Do you see blood on it? Moments before, moments later, notice the blood. Also, what I would like you to see is that Trump's right ear is bloody. And yet if you look at the hat, the blood is clearly coming from the left side, appearing to start in this man's hand. What is going on?
All right, let me know how you feel about this. And I hear someone mentioning about the female agent making a hand gesture, which is telling him to pose for the camera right before he raises his fist. Do you know about that?
You're stressed, you need more magnesium. And the best way to check if you need more magnesium is if you ever get that twitchy eyelid.
Yes, I've had that.
Yeah. Well, some people get tiny twitches in their fingers or their toes as well, but the eyelid is quite a good sign that you probably need to top up with magnesium.
Because it's a sign that you're stressed.
Well, the twitching is an actual sign of magnesium deficiency, but the reason you would be deficient is probably stress.
Wow. Nobody's ever told me that before.
Oh.
And it happens quite a lot.
My next one, which is sort of like a ritual too, but also very good for your stress levels, is that I bathe in magnesium flakes.
Huh. Why is that good for stress?
Because when you're stressed, your body leaches itself of magnesium. So magnesium helps you deal with stress, but it also gets used up in stress. And the best way to take magnesium is through your skin rather than through a capsule or a tablet.
Oh, really?
And so I find the easiest way, with English weather, is to bathe. There are also gels and sprays and lotions that you can use, but I like the ritual of bathing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're stressed,
Magnesium glycinate has changed my sleep for the better. It's amazing. But don't overdo it. I take it like once or twice a week.
That's some of the ones that'll keep me up. The Abigail Project is definitely one of those. It's one of the most disturbing experiments I've ever read about. Sometime in July of 2003, there was a government document that was declassified that talked about an experiment that took place back in 1945, post-war. It was led by Dr. Albert Weston and a team, and their task was to create a biological weapon out of a human. And for some reason, he decided the subject of his experiment was going to be his daughter, Abigail. It was a series of months where she was fed growth hormones, they gave her classified substances, and she had her entire body surgically modified. But the experiment was a failure. She had completely lost touch with who she was. She was no longer cognizant of what was going on, and most of her instincts had reverted into primal instincts. Considering what the doctor had done to his daughter, he would take his life after 2 years into the experiment, and according to these documents, the experiment, meaning her, was lost. Nobody really knows what happened to her.
I hope this is not true, but let me know how you feel about this.
Watch this shit, dude. Watch. She sits down.
Oh yeah, okay. This is the girl I was talking about.
Watch this.
If you want to
puts the sign up.
Something that said, "Take a look at what happened."
Shots go off. She's completely normal, and then watch.
And then she's got her.
What?
To say this was staged is wildly disrespectful to the families of the victims. But to say something doesn't seem right about this is a totally different story. I'm just saying there's a very big difference between staged and a setup. What really about this clip is if you go back and watch, when the pew-pews start going off, it seems like she smiles. Not to mention she didn't run, duck, or nothing. Might as well just yelled World Star. She was acting like her iPhone came with a switch. Also found this on the internet, and if this is real, this has to be the craziest coincidence of all time. Allegedly, this letter was sent out to stock exchange companies on Wall Street on 6/4/24. This letter details what would have to happen for the stock exchange to have an unexpected closing. And they used a really weird first example of what would have to happen. Like Simpsons level, oddly specific. I don't know what's going on, but the world is a scary place. If the aliens are watching this video, please take me back to the timeline when Harambe was alive.
Look at the whole group behind him while the shots happen. So many people either didn't react or just seem confused. Once again, put all the bias aside. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment.
This is one of the most dangerous areas in the world and is impossible to approach. Located in California, the Gold Base is the headquarters of the Church of Scientology. The highly secured property spans 520 acres and houses over 1,000 staff members, which live in harsh conditions with a daily wage of only $50. Former members have accused the Church of Scientology of physical and psychological abuse, and some reports include claims of forced labor, confinement, and harsh disciplinary measures. The mansion has an underground bunker, barbed wire fences, cameras, and patrolling armed guards. There are also snipers, motion sensors, and listening devices planted on the property. Each year, over 100 members attempt to escape, but most of them fail and get thrown into their prison named The Hole. The Gold Base's isolation and control over communication create an environment where members feel isolated and manipulated, making it hard for them to leave or get help. Tom Cruise has visited this site.
Why the government doesn't do anything about it? If they know what's going on.
Only eat between the hours of 1 and 4. The rest of the hours of the day, only drink liquids. Caloric-free spring liquids that have minerals in it. If you get rid of the toxins, if you get rid of the pollutants, and if you detoxify the body by way of fruits, fruit juicing, drinking water, working out, sweating, getting in a sauna, getting in cold plunges, turning on your heat shock proteins, turning on your cold shock proteins, shivering is very good for detoxification. Getting on a rebound, jumping, jump roping, moving your lymphatic system, investing into an actual vibrational plate to move and shake your bone marrow, you'll start seeing that the defecation will increase, the urination will increase, the skin actually acting as a third kidney, filtering out metabolic waste will increase. You see that? Getting on these herbs that you need will increase. Lymphatic herbs. Chaparral is a blood herb. It cleanses the blood. Burdock root cleanses the blood. Yellow dock actually breaks up coagulation. You see what I'm saying? Start getting on things like that. Dandelion cleanses the actual liver. Hydrangea root breaks up calcification, breaks up not only calcites, but it breaks up liver and gallbladder stones and kidney stones. Start getting on these herbs. You see what I'm saying? Cleaver's leaf, move the lymphatic system. Plantain leaf, move and break down things that's in the lymphatic system. Start getting on these herbs, getting on your fruits. 21-day fast, only eat between 1 and 4. The rest of those hours drink nothing but water. Or drink juices that's high in water, like watermelon juice. And you will start seeing the defecation really happen. You'll start getting rid of all of these cellular toxicities, and you will get rid of all these broken down, degraded cells, and you will notice that your virus will go away. People that had this so-called HI, whatever you call it, they go get checked and know, I don't see it. Your numbers are so low. How many times you hear that, Nabi? The numbers are so low, we can't even read it no more. They start saying it's you're undetected. No, it just means it ain't there no more.
Right on, brother. I eat whatever I want, as much as I want, between the hour of 12 p.m. and 6 p.m.
After the Civil War, 100,000 Confederate soldiers that moved down to Brazil, and they still have a city in Brazil, and it's called Americana.
Yeah.
100,000 Confederate soldiers went down to the south of Brazil to say, hey, we're going to keep the South alive in a new country. Every year, they have a festival commemorating the Confederate soldiers.
It's crazy.
No! That's in Brazil.
Stop! And apparently they said the city's actually nice. They had no idea. There's some people that have went there and said, we had no idea that's what the history of this town was, but it's actually a pretty nice city.
Apparently, the older people in Americana, Brazil, they have a combination of a southern accent with
what do we love? He's like slavery.
And they roll their R's.
Brazil.
Yeah, we live in Brazil.
That's
it's crazy. But they said they started planting tobacco, cotton, all this stuff, and it says that half of them 10 years in ended up leaving because they're this is really hard to keep up with all these crops and stuff. It's well, yeah, because you don't have slaves.
Golly.
Nobody cannot tell me you can't reverse blurry vision. Nobody can tell me that because I did it. My sister's boyfriend did it using the same herbs, eyebright, powder, and the African tulip, aka donkey pee, aka the multiple other names that it has. You physically would drop this in your eyes. It cleanses from the outside, cleanse the eyes from the outside. The eyebright herb, you would make that into a tea. Right? You make that into a tea, take that morning and you take that in night. Same with this. You wake up, you use it. You go to bed, you use it. When you get this, you store it in the fridge because it dries up. And that is the reason why we're unable to ship it out, because it would dry up. Okay?
Turns out that our early warning system is our own young athletes. According to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, 100,000 young athletes under the age of 30 drop dead each year during exercise or a game or immediately after exercise or a game. Sudden death in young athletes. This is a small study, but it gives you a flavor of what's going on here. 29 highly conditioned competitive athletes ages 13 to 30 dropped dead during a game in this study. 35% of them died of ruptured aneurysms, a copper deficiency. The other 65% died of cardiomyopathy, heart disease, a selenium deficiency. Now, what do you think is the most dangerous sport in the world? Turns out that it is basketball. 45% or 45,000 out of the 100,000 are basketball players. And I'll show you why in a minute. Football happens to be second. These are kids who are healthy, apparently, and just suddenly drop dead during games. 14, 15, 16, 18 years old. Here's a water polo player, 14 years old, cardiomyopathy, heart disease. 15 years old, Stanley Hawkins, freshman in high school, just practicing basketball, drops over dead from a cardiomyopathy, heart attack, selenium deficiency.
If you wake up in the morning and you do not like to eat, you're not hungry.
Yeah.
It's probably because your blood sugar is very, very low. It's probably because you have very good blood sugar regulation. So then what happens is you wake up in the morning, you're fasted, you don't feel like eating, your blood sugar continues to trend down.
Okay.
You eat late in the morning or early in the afternoon and it skyrockets, right? This is why you have an energy slump between 2 and 4 in the afternoon.
I don't get it. Is it fine or not? Should I have breakfast regardless or what? By the way, I drink hot water and apple vinegar first thing in the morning. It cleans toxin and reduce hunger. You should try it.
Never felt unsafe in New York City. The only time I feel unsafe is when I'm in areas like this. There's no one.
It's not the absence of bad people that makes the city safe. Rather, it's the presence of regular people. In that video, she's experiencing a liminal space, and I'm going to get to what that is in a minute and how we can prevent them. But first, I want to talk about the Jane Jacobs concept, Eyes on the Street. The concept is basically this. Police punish crime more than they prevent it. And actually, if they're lucky, they might stop a crime that's already in action, but it's regular people being present that's most likely to prevent crime. Like, I'd prefer to be on a train car with a crazy person, so long as it's filled with other regular people, than just being alone on a train car with a somewhat suspicious person. And it's not just because their presence decreases the likelihood that that crazy person will act. The security, I feel that one of them will step in should they act. So what is this thing I'm calling a liminal space, and how do we prevent them in a city? So the word liminal has its origins in the word like threshold. It is often meant to like signify transition. You can use it in a time sense. Like the summer between high school and college might be a liminal spot in time. But you can also use it spatially, describing areas of transition that often feel eerie. If you fly into an airport as the last flight of the night and it's empty and everything's closed, it feels liminal. If you're at a dead or dying mall or there after hours, it feels liminal. Big empty parking lots feel liminal. Cities can make spaces less desirable to inhabit through their policies, which concurrently makes them less habited and therefore less safe. So I'm going to show you some areas of Chicago that seem liminal and contrast them with places that aren't. But first, when you were experiencing one of those places that's eerily empty, ask yourself, what reasons do people have to be there? The absence of a liminal space would be something that Jane Jacobs calls the sidewalk ballet. Essentially, you want lots of little reasons for lots of different types of people to inhabit a space throughout the day. Park at night becomes liminal in part because there's nothing to do there at night. A block in the city that only has one building with one purpose is liminal because there's no reason for people, even if they're inhabiting a bar right here, to spend time on this side of the street. This building lacks what city planners would call entrance frequency. Let's juxtapose it with this side of the street where there's bars, cafes, small banks, boutiques. And here's the thing, this doesn't mean we can't have big buildings, we just have to build them right. Let's contrast 150 North Riverside Plaza with 205 West Wacker. Completed in 2017, completed in 1929. Despite being a big building, which might be more of a monoculture of offices or apartments above it, it has lots of little entrances and buildings along the bottom. And let's contrast that with 150 North Riverside, which really just has one big entrance, the entrance to the building. In fact, most of the mid-century modern, textual, contemporary, Miesian modern buildings all get this wrong. That block will be busy 2 times a day, when people are getting to work and when people are leaving work, and maybe a little bit on their lunch. This is what is meant by entrance frequency. Another thing that creates liminality is the presence of cars. Streets need to be built overly wide for the certain rush hour, but during off hours like in the morning, it creates a really liminal space. Places we aren't meant to inhabit, just to transition through as we cross. But also the presence of cars here, which make it feel unsafe during the day, makes it less likely that people are going to frequent shops on the other side of the street. Again, if you're going to keep a place busy, you need people to want to stay there. Loitering is a good thing. Loud traffic, the smell of exhaust, the sense of being unsafe, that keeps people from spending time in an area. But also, cars require an inordinate amount of storage once they arrive at a destination. Meaning, whole city blocks have to be devoted to parking, killing entrance frequency. That's why the best areas in the best cities don't look like this, but rather like this. Quaint, pedestrianized areas where it feels safe or delightful to inhabit and spend time, with multiple different reasons for a diverse array of people to show up at different times of day, except at 5 a.m. on a Friday. But John, cities are just giving people what they want: ample parking for their cars, wide roads to drive. Policies are delivering what they're designed to do despite what people want. In most cities, parking mandates require businesses to create parking spaces regardless of whether or not they want them, instead of giving them the freedom to do something like this and create additional seating. Outdated traffic manuals that only measure roads based on their amount of throughput rather than safe and desirable outcomes for roads and streets. Roads that require large medians or shoulders with recovery zones, neighborhoods with setback requirements, minimum lot sizes. These all create liminal spaces, destroy regular, spontaneous human interaction that naturally occurs at the heart of traditionally developed cities.
I agree. But, there are many cases where the more bystanders there are, the less likely someone will intervene. Everyone thinks someone else will step in. By the way, Chicago is beautiful.
Is so hard to watch, as yes, these are x-rays of children stuffed into trucks, laying completely limp, and if you see this, you need to run. People were horrified after hundreds of trucks had been pulled over by State Border Patrol, and when x-rayed, each truck seemingly had hundreds of child bodies stuffed into the back, appearing motionless, and this is happening more and more. One Border Patrol officer, after running an oil tank trailer through an x-ray, was shocked after finding a whopping almost 100 children in the barrel, but it was worse than that, as some of the trucks seem to have multiple bodies stuffed into the tiny 2-feet cargo area, to even people completely stuffed into the wind deflector area of the truck. And some of the people that were pulled out of the truck seemingly were very disoriented, scared, and confused.
Into the cargo area of a U-Haul truck, the immigrants in a space without fresh air or means of escape.
Unfortunately, sights like this happen daily at the border, as many immigrants are attempting to enter the country. These people and children are alive, usually arrested and sent.
I might be wrong. I think they're just immigrants trying to enter the United States. What do you think?
Yo, imagine coming face to face with bro in the wild and he tries to fight you.
Yo!
Never mind.
That's awesome.
This might shock our world, but black people is the real Jews. Okay, so go. Do you know black people start wearing tzitzis?
There you go.
Start wearing tzitzis. Go follow the Bible.
There you go.
Do that. If you say that you're Jewish, start doing what the Bible says.
Wow.
So, very good. Start following the Bible. Find somebody you want to steal me or something.
He flipped it on him. It's too smart for him. His response was top tier.
On today's episode of Random White Acts of Danger, we have the iPhone Bandit. Margin for error, you guessed it, death. Because I would just be pissed if somebody stole my phone like this dude be doing. He like the Spider-Man parkour of phone stealing. Easy. Come out the color like peroxide, thank you very much, see you never. And then he's be gone. And at first I'm like, oh, is this like a skit? But I'm like, oh no, he just be recording this. And you could tell because everybody be seriously chasing him. They're like, whoa, wait. Like, watch this. She's pissed. She's like, wait, hold on, give my phone back. And my boy is elite. I wouldn't know what to do either. I'd be like, well, I guess he got that one. And look, cop come out the Neosporin. Excuse me, I'm out of here. Watch this. Bite my dust, as they like to say. Watch out, gone. My boy knees and ankles, elite. Pause. This is crazy. 2 for 2. Gone. That's the smoothest slide I've seen in a long time. Another one. Thank you. What
Gosh.
You watching? Doesn't matter.
That's crazy.
And I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm kind of impressed. He's like the Assassin's Creed of phone stealing. And
oh my
once
gosh.
he gonna do all those, I guess just sell them on the black market. But if you're in a foreign country, watch your phone, hold it tight. You can take it tonight.
It's an epidemic in London. The police cannot do anything about it. And I saw it in the news and YouTube all the time. Always London. New York is trying to catching up.
We're eating, it's making us very unmanly. Well, beer has a lot of estrogen in it.
Hold on. So beer has estrogen in it.
Yes, the
Or
plant
produces?
the plant that it comes from, it produces estrogen in the body. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And what that does is now you got a man who has this estrogen dominating in the body. And when that happens is you start to see the effects of it, because most people don't understand. Hormones tell us what, not only our bodies what to do, but they can tell it what to look like, feel like. So ultimately, when you see a man who has issues with low testosterone, right? You're gonna start to see balding, erectile dysfunction. You're gonna start to see him lose muscle mass.
So
inability to build muscle too. So with men, you have to understand that they're not only getting in all processed foods, because all processed foods are gonna have some form of soybean oil, some form of, even if you're eating meat, they will add like some form of soybean meat in there, etc. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So you're getting that in the diet, but also there's a lot of these what are called endocrine disruptors, which are like fake estrogen, and plastic bottles and plastic wrappings on most of the food is sold in plastics. You know, most of the products that we use, they have things that are called phthalates, parabens, etc. All these things turn into fake estrogen in the body.
So taking care of you is your responsibility. I read those books and started practicing, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. And that's when I began to understand the importance of knowledge. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food.
I think the government there, you know, in the United States, does not want masculine men. Hence, why they pumping everything with estrogen? Don't go anywhere, because we still have fire clips after fire clips back to back.
If you take Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that was made in 1977 by none other than Steven Spielberg. Steven
That's
Spielberg
a great movie.
has features the creatures and all that stuff. So all those reports, including Richard Dreyfuss's face being burned, came directly out of Project Blue Book files, the Air Force's own files. Steven Spielberg had cameo appearance of Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who investigated UFO reports in an official capacity for the United States Air Force. And those Close Encounters of the Third Kind that we talked about earlier, that's when the witnesses, you know, claimed to see occupants, beings associated with the craft. Those depictions from the witnesses were taken out of the files and right into the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
And there you go.
So they got all that information, flight characteristics, what the UFOs look like, what the beings look like out of Project Blue Book files.
It's absurd.
Spielberg once said he got his ideas from his contacts in NASA in an interview.
I'm in China and I'm going to rent a girlfriend. Let's go and meet my new Chinese wife. Ni hao.
Ni hao.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
Good.
Nice to meet you. I'm good. You're looking very beautiful also.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you look nice guy.
Have you ever had
nice
a
guy.
foreign boyfriend?
No.
Never. Only Chinese boyfriends. Alright. Well, there's a first for everything. What are Chinese boys like to date?
If I say it, Chinese boy will fit me. This restaurant is good.
Okay.
Delicious.
I'll get it. Ladies first.
Oh, thank you.
She's just holding the door open for me. What's something you don't like about China?
I can't talk it.
Oh, you can't tell me.
Yeah.
We just gotta say, I love China, I love China.
If you close your video,
Okay.
I will tell you.
She's gonna tell me what she doesn't like off camera. Oh my god. What do you look for in a guy?
Maybe I like girls.
Oh!
Really?
It's a joke.
I don't know how they do this in China.
Like in the anime, Rent a Girlfriend, very professional. And I love C.S. using humor to set boundaries. And by the way, you know, the guy, he's a content creator and he lives in Bali.
Anybody who really thinks the oceans are rising would own a $12 million mansion on the ocean. I mean, let's just look at the Roman tidal baths on Malta. They're still at sea level after thousands of years. I mean, the Romans built these baths right on the ocean level thousands of years ago. Still there, at ocean level. Here's about 140 years in the same exact spot. Yet another Trojan horse we have with climate change. In my opinion, obviously climate changes That's what happens. There are seasons, but basically what they're trying to do is show you like, hey, let's have electric vehicles, let's have no gas emissions, let's do all this shit, disguising something that is bad as something good. How do you think they power electric cars, bro? They're telling you to use paper straws, but they're flying their private jet all around the world. They're making you buy the plastic bags at the checkout, but everything in the whole store is covered in plastic. Just another way to fearmonger and get everyone to comply. Have you guys ever been golfing and the golf cart like turned off because you got too close to the green? Why would a Tesla or why would an electric car be not subject to that exact same thing? Oh, you're a bad person. You can't leave your 15-minute city. Turn off your car. If the WEF is promoting it, you probably shouldn't want to do it. Anyway, free Zoom call July 28th. Be there. How to make money on TikTok.
Those aren't Roman bats, bro. Actually, they are from like the 50s. They are just called that.
Open your bloody eyes. I just finished watching this video and I'm going to show you guys a part of this video that I want every single one of you to watch. Open your eyes.
Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits. 3 habits in particular play a big part in every sales transaction. To begin with, most Negroes buy by brand. They ask for products by name. They're quick to turn down off brands. You wonder why? Well, listen to what this customer is thinking.
That last hat I bought just didn't hold up at all.
You see, for a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands in order to make sure he gets his money's worth. Buying by brand, that's the first important Negro buying habit. Now for the second. The Negro buys good quality merchandise. Symbols of quality and prestige are very important to the Negro customer. This woman, for example, is buying fine crystalware. But she is also buying the admiration and approval of her friends and relatives. Listen to her thoughts.
My, isn't it beautiful? I can hardly wait to show it to Sally and Joan.
It's a well-known fact that many Negro customers are influenced by the opinions of others. What their friends may think of a certain item often decides whether or not the sale is made. So remember, the Negro buys quality merchandise. That's the second important point. And here's the third thing to remember when selling to a Negro customer. When he specifically asks for one thing, don't try to sell him something else. Don't try to switch him at the point of sale. If you do, he'll probably react something like this.
Doesn't he think I've got the money to pay for it?
There's a reason for this reaction. Again, because he's had experience with cheap merchandise, the Negro resents being offered a substitute. He wants to be sold on quality, not price.
If all of that flew over your head, I want you to understand that that was recorded in 1954 and the same things that were said in that video stands till this day. It's not even a race thing nowadays, it's an ethnic minority thing. Most ethnic minorities are pushed to buy materialism, a brand new Mercedes, go buy a Louis Vuitton bag, when in reality you cannot afford it. And in that video, the reason why they were saying these things is on the back of black people starting to actually integrate into the working class, starting to earn a lot of money. And when they realized that these people are starting to earn a lot of money, people that were previously oppressed, you know what they said? Let's find ways to make them consumers. And those 3 things, wallahi, they are so important. So I'm telling you guys, be wise and stay woke. You don't have to buy all of these materialistic things, especially if you cannot afford it. And look at the way it's being pushed to you. Through music, through entertainment. The urban scene, what is it made up of? And what does the urban scene push?
I don't understand how this is specific to anyone. Buying based on quality and social status is a trait of everyone. bought the rights to the camera at the end of April. Says a lot, really.
A new quantum computer has shattered all records and breaks Google's previous quantum supremacy record by 100-fold, or literally 2 orders of magnitude better than the fastest computer that Google could possibly build, at least the fastest quantum computer. And as the tagline on TechSpot says, yes, we've truly entered an area where classical supercomputers simply cannot compete. And the cool thing about this particular chip, which we're about to get into here as soon as this video is done, is that its level of accuracy is extremely high, or more specifically, its level of quantum decoherence is very, very low. They came up with some novel ways to protect the quantum information so that the error rate for the chip is decades ahead of its time. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pause on this cute little graphic, and let's scroll down to the details. So Google Sycamore was the one that previously held the quantum computing record by completing a task in 200 seconds that would have taken a classical supercomputer about 10,000 years to finish. It was specifically designed to test the quantum computer. However, there's a new one called an H21 computer, and that one is from a company called Quantum, which, as you can see, has 2 U's here, and they ran multiple experiments on the computer between January and June 2024, and they claim it has an error correction performance threshold that many experts believed were years away. So the study just got published. It's not peer-reviewed yet. The study is not peer-reviewed, so please keep that in mind. But Quantum maintains that it demonstrated significant performance improvement using the random circuit sampling algorithm. It achieved an estimated linear cross-entropy benchmark of 0.35, which is about 100 times better than previous demonstrations. And you can see some of this reflected here in the graph. So let's go ahead and scroll down. It's got 32 physical qubits. And since it operates more reliably, it operates at better than break even, which is representing a major step forwards toward fault-tolerant quantum computing, meaning the logical qubits are more reliable. Error rates were 800 times lower than their corresponding physical circuit error rates, which is insane. Error correction was really good in this. Error correction on quantum computers is usually somewhere between 1 and 0.1%. And yeah, basically this computer just crushed the record. It just put Google to shame. And I think that's, I want to say that's awesome, because this is a huge step forward for anything that you want to crunch data with, from AI to personal security to anything you can dream of. But that also means people have to use it responsibly and not use it to break into bank accounts or do wildly illegal things or build a artificial quantum intelligence that we can't even understand. That would probably be bad.
Yeah, well, we've been hearing about quantum computers for decades now, but still have yet to see one used commercially.
In the 1800s, rumors spread of a group of docile giants living in the Montana pines. It was said they hunted grizzlies and slept in caves.
No.
The rumors were confirmed to be true based on old film camera footage and diary entries from people living in surrounding towns.
Who made their slacks?
Called the cellular phone, and it's being heralded as a revolution in technology.
Cellular phones are still expensive. Apart from the airtime, you pay a basic monthly service charge, around $15. But by far the single largest expense is the hardware. You can lease a cellular phone set, but you won't be able to buy one for less than $2,500. That's for a mobile model. The phone runs on your car's electrical system with an encyclopedia-sized transducer in the trunk. The antenna can glue onto your rear window, and a speaker attachment is available for your visor if you don't like the idea of driving with one hand on a phone. For people constantly on the move, the completely portable phone will come in handy. It costs about $6,000, but it can transmit for up to half an hour over an 8-hour period without recharging.
Hi, how are you doing?
The third type of cellular phone is known as
Wow,
transportable.
look at that.
This model is a Scandinavian design and can be disconnected from the dash, rejigged, and carried wherever you go for around $3,000.
For midday, I'm Catherine O'Hara.
Wow.
Hello? How did you find me out here?
Then they got smaller and smaller until someone realized that they could watch video content on their phone. And then they start getting larger again.
Be 100% fair, bro.
I don't think anybody is going to be able to outlive this guy, not just Anatoly. For those of you who don't know, this is Tom Haviland, and he is a genetic phenom. He is 6'8", over 300 pounds, and can throw around weight like it's nothing. This is over 300 pounds that he's just tossing around like the empty bar. I think there's like less than 10 people in the whole world that can deadlift 1,000 pounds conventional, and the fact that he is 6'8" doing it is absolutely wild to me, dude. Some people can't even deadlift 400 pounds, and he's able to seal row it. Do y'all know how hard a seal row is? And he's also able to do pull-ups like this. Pull-ups are pretty hard, but doing towel pull-ups like this are incredibly difficult, especially for a man this size. Also, I'm not sure if y'all have ever tried the Zercher squat before, but it almost feels like your arm's gonna fall out, and this guy is doing it with 750 pounds.
Nah.
He Zercher squatted 750 pounds. That is almost Ronnie Coleman's back squat, bro. Here he is farmer walking with 810 pounds. He is holding 405 pounds in each hand and proceeding to walk with it. That is absolutely insane to think about.
You know, but all that strength don't mean anything until we see him in a strongman competition. Make it happen.
I don't know if y'all have heard this or not, but there's a theory now that states that Africa is pretty much within driving distance of Arizona, the Grand Canyon. Yes, you heard me right. And when I heard this, I was like, what? There's no way. But the more I researched it, I'm like, so let's get into it. This is the Pangea map. And this is a map of the world pre-continental drift, which basically shows us that Africa is right next door to North America. So would it be that far off to think that there's a highway to Africa from Arizona? I don't know. Let's look at this.
We have been lied to. WTF, bruh.
Oh, there's more.
Shit, the Grand Canyon, bro. That shit. There's a whole civilization living under here.
I don't know if it's true or not, but it's definitely interesting. What do you think? Let me know below.
Didn't they find a mummy and giant somewhere near Grand Canyon? I say thousands of us go camp out and explore the canyons. I mean us, you Americans. I cannot go.
Mullen, Verbascum thapsus is the Latin name. This is a very famous herbal medicine. People use it all the time. They principally use it for respiratory complaints, the leaf and the flower. Mullen is a good cough suppressant, ironically enough. Calming influence on the nerves around your bronchi, and it depresses that cough. It also has some mild expectorant properties for getting goobers out of your lungs, which the leaf and the flower both are good for that. Some people also use the flower for earaches. They make an infused oil out of the flower just by filling a jar up with flowers and covering them up with olive oil and letting it sit for a week or two. The flower is actually the strongest part. But most people use the leaf because the leaf is by far the easiest part to harvest. The mullein also has some pretty important and useful antiviral properties against influenzas and some of the other respiratory viruses, rotaviruses, coronaviruses. The root is also a medicine, and it's not used much or talked about much, but it's a really tremendous medicinal thing. What we use the root for is two things. One, it's very strengthening to the bladder. So it's good for bladder incontinence. It strengthens the trigone of the bladder, those muscles that control it. You can use it for little kids that wet the bed, or elderly folks that have incontinence issues. Very good for back pain. The root. Leaf is also very good for wormer, and so you can use it as part of a small intestine cleanse or just as a wormer. And it works the same way as it's working in your lungs. It knocks the worms out and it breaks up the mucus in your guts.
Wow. Let me know how you feel about this. It sounds great. Jeez. This is crazy. 12 hours? That's a long time to be tripping. I couldn't do it. Hey, at least they are doing it medically supervised. I connect with Christ and he gave me the Holy Spirit.
So a lot of people are stating that this Eminem that just dropped this new album is not the same Eminem. And for reference, we put this side-by-side picture of what we call Eminem. You can clearly see that these are two different people. Even the eye color looks different. Why does it look like it's a reptilian eye? You know what I'm saying? And look at the face and then the ears. You can see the ears. It looks like something else, right? The ears look like this demon face syndrome thing that they have been telling us about lately. I mean, look at it. Same pointed ear, and the eyes are literally telling you that. That's another person. Do you guys remember this?
I was Marshall Mathers. Now I'm just a shell of who I used to be. Tonight and more. 60 Minutes. And I'm Marshall Mathers. All that and what? All that and more? Tonight on 60 Minutes? I was Marshall Mathers. Now I'm just a shell.
Marshall Mathers. Some of you may know him as Eminem, but he's going to join the Saturday Night.
Look at him. It's like nobody's home. Do you see him? It's like nobody is home. Look at that. You see, this is why they have to get new aliases when they become rappers, because it's a way to dissociate their old life with this new life, or this new entity that's going to be harboring their body now. Which by now, I'm sure a lot of you guys know that these people are all clones. But let me know what you guys think about this video. Like, comment, and share for more videos like this. And please be sure to follow me on all these platforms. Thank you for tuning to my frequency. Let's get this shift. Peace out.
I think it's just aging. What do you think? And conspiracy theory says the real M died in early 2000s.
We've now got an even more detailed demonstration of just how shockingly close that bullet was to ending Trump. Because this 3D animation has mapped his head movement precisely to the real footage captured. And honestly, this is so close that at the point when the trigger was actually pulled, it probably was a perfect shot. So not only is it mind-blowing enough that this actually happened, but it's even more mind-blowing that it didn't happen.
Mind-blowing is an interesting choice of words. You know, Bro Dodge a Simpson prediction.
Took a hit, and for the next 24 hours, I was just up. I remember a few days later, I was recovering, and I remember going to him, and I asked him, I was like, what was that we smoked the other night? And he said it was meth. But that high was so addicting that I didn't care, and I said, can we get more? And he said yes. And that's when just a full-blown addiction started. For the next year of my life, I was just heavily involved in meth every single day, just smoking it day and night. I was up for weeks at a time. You wouldn't eat. I lost like 20 pounds. You start deteriorating. Everything in you just start dying on the inside.
That is so gnarly because, yep, that's freaking meth. You smoke some meth, you take a hit, you get this freaking feeling. Wow! Like, I have energy, I'm not sad. I got stuff to do, you know, and you stay up late and you get in the long-winded conversations and you feel freaking great. And that feeling, we wind up doing it over and over and over again. But the thing is, this is the thing. You know what that stuff does? It mimics happiness. It imitates it. It goes into our system, creates this feeling, because that's what we all want in life. We want happiness. We want to love ourselves. We want to feel good. Yeah. That's what we all want. And if we can't get it in the daily life, we're going to get it in that speed pipe, taking a big fat rip. And when you find it, you think that's the answer and a godsend. But what happens is that stuff that's in you that makes you feel that way, that's mimicking, imitating happiness, the real you that's underneath, ain't good. It is not good. And then you need that substance to find some kind of happiness, and then all of a sudden everything starts going to shit. You stay up late, you're flaking on work, you're flaking on responsibilities, you're flaking on bills, you're in some weird garage or some weird place, and it could be horrible. But as long as you got some hits, hey, this is okay. And then it progresses to where this just is not working anymore. I'm not even high anymore. I'm a giant freaking failure. This is just stupid. And at that point, coming off of it, it is just not cool. Especially when you wake up and really look at the destruction of your life and your freaking soul. You'll realize that you're dead inside. But there is a solution. There is a solution. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the planet, millions of people around the planet that have been addicted to meth, addicted to these substances, heroin, meth, alcohol, that have found a way out, that has a beautiful life. I'm telling you, there's a way. It's a little process. It might not be that easy, but I promise you, if you want more information or you want to figure out the way out, please make a comment below and I'll do my best to reach out to you and we can figure this thing out together. I mean, look at, hey, God bless you. Look at this beautiful girl that was lost in addiction. And today,
Yeah.
so stoked that you found the way out and did not get stuck in there for years and wind up losing your life like thousands and thousands of people have. Right on. Whoosh, high five.
That's what the devil does. Imitates what God has. But remember, it's only imitation, and at the end, it will destroy you. Does anyone have a similar experience they want to share with us? Please drop a comment. And good for her. She's off now and sharing her experience. God bless her.
But what happened was is that she had the mercury in her teeth, you know, the silver fillings, which are half mercury in her teeth. And she didn't like the way they looked, and she thought that maybe they were poisoning her. So she went to a dentist who didn't know how to take them out, and he drilled them all out in one shot, no protection. And a few weeks later, she starts complaining that her thyroid is swollen and it hurts. And I'm in a hospital, big hospital emergency room, and I know all the good doctors, so I send her to the thyroid specialist, and he says, she's got Hashimoto's thyroiditis. It's an autoimmune thyroiditis. No big deal. Her thyroid function's okay. There's no treatment for it. Just ignore it. Then she started complaining about her right upper quadrant. Her liver was hurting. And I did some liver tests and they were elevated. And I sent her to the best liver specialist. And he said, it's probably the same. He tested her with all kinds of stuff, ultrasounds. There's no tumors there. She doesn't have hepatitis, but she's probably got the same autoimmune disease that's causing her thyroid is causing her liver. And then shortly thereafter, I was sitting I remember getting up in bed or just getting out of bed one morning, and she's in the bathroom and she says, hey, I can't lift my shoulder up and my leg on one side feels weak. So I sent her to the neurologist, and the neurologist said, looks like MS, take these steroids, take this interferon, which at that point I was like, something is wrong here. She's very healthy. She was also a triathlete. She always ate really clean, never ate any fast food. And so she really sort of instigated it, but we started like, what else could this be? Now she's a nurse and she owns a home healthcare nursing agency, and a guy had moved in. He had been in West Palm and he moved to Clearwater, and on his marquee, it said natural dentistry. And one day I went to pick her up and he was walking out of his office, and I stopped him and I said, hey, what's natural dentistry? And he says, well, most dentists think that the mouth isn't connected to the body and that you could do things in the mouth that you wouldn't do in the body, like put in poisonous mercury and leave in dead infected teeth and so forth. I said, oh, listen to this story. So I tell him her story. She went to get the mercury out. Now she's got these 3 autoimmune conditions. And he says, oh, she's mercury toxic, 100%. But there's no one around here who will help you with her. This is 1995, 96. You better go to Seattle. There's a guy up there who trains doctors in detoxification, heavy metal detoxification, muscle testing, all this stuff. And he will train you, and then you can come back and help her. So I did that. I went out there and I spent some time with him, and I learned the things he knew. And I came back and I tested her, and she indeed was mercury toxic. I ran the protocols on her that I learned from him, and she got better. All of her symptoms within about 5 months went away. Her thyroid enzymes went down and her liver calmed down and her muscle strength was regained.
I love hearing testimonies like this. I tell people all the time, do not get a canal. God bless him for not giving up on her.
I think it's time to understand that the Crusades in principle were a good thing. Islamic armies, starting with their prophet Muhammad, had already conquered and subjugated 2/3 of the Christian world, including the Holy Land, Egypt, North Africa, and Spain, and was now poised to overwhelm the Byzantine Empire and the rest of Europe. So Christian nations, seeing these expansionist intentions of the Muslim world, recognized that this wasn't going to stop. The First Crusade was a defensive war. Muslim Turks and Ottomans continued to attack Europe all the way up until the 20th century, and it's notable and not well known that during that time, over 1 million Europeans were abducted and taken back to North Africa and to the Ottoman Empire as slaves.
We learned something else in school. In Indonesia. The Crusaders were barbaric, and what they did in many places was horrible. All right, folks, I'm going to end our video with these coming clips. Be kind to each other. There's a free gift below, and if you want to buy me coffee or support me through Patreon, the links are in the description below. Thank you for staying till the end. Have a prosperous day, and God bless.